Next up, men's bantamweight matchup here as we have Malcolm Wellmaker coming in at minus 250 going up against Juan Diaz, who comes in at plus 210. Now, starting off on the Wellmaker side of things, we all know about the last fight where he got upset by the UFC newcomer Ethan Ewing in a fight where everybody expected Wellmaker to just knock out the short notice debutant. But I think that was more so a case of people not knowing how good Ethan Ewing is. And through 2 UFC fights now for Ewing, we see why. Ewing, very slick striker, had the perfect counters to Wellmaker's striking game. And Wellmaker really struggled to get off on much of his own success. Even a few takedowns as well. Wellmaker, very solid striker, good striking, good timing, speed, power, that all allows him to really just touch his opponents up from distance and then obviously come through with the knockouts the way that he did on the Contender series against Adam Brandheld in his UFC debut against Cameron Simon, and then just the absolute torching of Chris Moutinho as well, where he was able to get that big win in front of his home Georgia State. Again, it's all about striking for him. He's very fast, stinging power, sets up his shots very well. His takedown defense has looked very good throughout his career and it continues to get better as well. That's where most fighters are going to be looking to try to take advantage of him unless they can produce a type of effective striking game the way that Ethan Ewing was able to. I believe the public is still very high on Wellmaker, which is why he's obviously a big favorite in this matchup as well. But that last fight against Ewing still showed that he had a few things that he needs to work on. So it'll be very interesting to see how he bounces back from his first ever professional loss. Now he's going up against the 15-1-1 Juan Diaz, who earned his contract through the Contender series this past season with a spectacular spinning back elbow knockout over Juan El Kwan in the dying seconds, I believe, of the second round of their fight. Diaz, a fighter that competed a lot on the Latin American scene. His level of competition was very low level for a lot of his fights, so I think that's a bit of an issue as he comes into the UFC, but he at least went out there and did what he was supposed to do against those guys. At his best, he's a solid striker, good jab, good striking. The issue that I had considering how much power it looks like he throws with, he only has, now 5 wins by knockout out of his 15 total wins. I don't know if that's just due to the tough durability of Latin American fighters that he was going against or what it was, but I was really not all that impressed with his power going into the Contender Series matchup. But in the opening seconds of that fight against Juan El Kwan, he landed a big shot that dropped Kwan right away. Kwan was able to get his feet back after that, but it really seemed like he was a little bit scared of the type of power coming back his way from Diaz, and then Diaz was able to just dictate the pace there, landing a consistent jab, staying on the gas, and eventually opening up that second round knockout. And the way he set it up too, right? For most of the fight, he was the one kind of moving forward and landing his volume, and then near the ending of that second round, he kind of just continued to back up and gave Kwan a false sense of security, and that just allowed him to walk Kwan onto a beautiful spinning back elbow that put Kwan away very nastily. He's a decent prospect, but I think this weekend is a good indication of where he'll really be at. He's hittable. He can be out-grappled depending on the level of opponent he's going up against, but he might be, Jesus Pinedo light, essentially, as he's a Peruvian fighter as well, right? Violent striker. Let's see if it actually pays off in the UFC. Now, this is a fun striking battle between two guys who have their own styles of striking. Wellmaker, a little bit more speed-based, a little bit more popping power, whereas Juan Diaz is a little bit more volume output and then try to find that big power. I think this will be a spot where Wellmaker eventually ends up finding that big shot and really wobbles Diaz. Does he put him away? I'm not entirely sure. I think we'll see Wellmaker be a little bit more conservative here. I think we'll see him try to just ease himself into this fight and start landing those big shots. And I think Diaz's durability will end up keeping him in this fight. I think anytime Diaz throws a jab, we'll see Wellmaker try to counter him with a bigger strike. I think Wellmaker will have the speed advantage, so I think that will help him land much more effective shots. But I don't want to completely write Diaz off. And again, who knows what the mentality of Wellmaker is coming off of his first loss. So maybe I'm just being a little bit too cautious here. I'm going Wellmaker. I think he wins by decision, but I won't be getting behind this type of chalk on him. I'd rather just sit back and watch how this fight ends up playing out. But my official prediction, once again, will be Malcolm Wellmaker by decision.